Hello, and welcome to the Big Bad Bike Show, a show where three guys use podcasting as an excuse to watch motorbike racing when there's so many other things that we should be doing. Each week, I myself watch the races 2 or 3 times, as well as countless hours prepping for the show notes and coming up with ideas. Meanwhile, all around me, the struggle of life is real. The kids are usually whining. I'm pretty sure one of them's got tonsillitis. There's a cost of living crisis, and I'm still wasting money on microphones and editing software. But it's all worth it, because at the start of the week I get to sit down with my pals and talk absolute bullshit about anything and try our best to relate it to motorbikes. But who are these pals in which I mention? He's from the up north. He's the up north biker. He's fat as fuck, and his name is Ash. Hello, Ash.
Hey up. I'd say I'm big boned. I ain't fat as fuck.
I think somebody's edited that. And Anders always joining me once again. And thankfully this time he's got a brand new microphone, and it might bloody actually work. It's Chris Chippy Ballard. Say hello, Chippy.
Hello.
That was gold, because I hadn't actually proofread that. I read it out earlier today and then shared it, and I didn't proofread it, so whenever it came to it,
I added that earlier.
That was me reading that for the first time. Well, that's the intro. We're the Big Bad Bike Show, and as you can see, we definitely don't take ourselves very seriously. We're going to talk a bit about motorbikes and try our best to make it sound like we know what we're talking about, and we're going to talk about the motorbike racing that happened over the weekend. That's what we're really here for, and hopefully we can give you a show that you like listening to. Speaking of listening, if you are listening to this on YouTube, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell too. That way you won't miss an episode, and you can always listen to our fantastic dulcet tones. Did any of you guys have any feedback on the show from last week? Nope, me neither.
Not really. Just your swearing, which I think we need to apologise for.
Well, swearing. I will try my best to cut it out, but I'm not going to apologise.
Well, you haven't done a very good start because your intro already had it in.
No, well, Chippy's highlighting the fact that I swore too much last week, and he's the one that put that in the intro. So, little bit hypocritical. I'm not going to apologise for it. Well, I'll do a sorry, not sorry.
Oh, sorry. Was it Chippy that wrote that intro?
Well, I wrote the intro.
No, I started the bit.
Yeah, I wrote the intro and then I shared it with you and Chippy.
Do you know what? I even thought to myself, like, you never call me fat, and then when you obviously read that out, I'm thinking that sounds like Chippy that does.
Well, I shared it with you. Whenever I shared it with you can edit it and I'd make changes to it. That way you can.
All right. I didn't realise he did it.
As soon as I seen that line coming up just before I started saying it, and I was straight away. I clicked. I was like, Chippy's edited this. Yeah, but no feedback from last week, so nobody's obviously listening.
Rather be fat than a specky nerd.
We did have an email though, but we'll talk about that later on the show. It's nothing to do with now.
Okay.
Yeah. If you would like to contact us and leave us any feedback or ask us a question, you can do that by going to podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. You don't need to leave your name. You can leave a pseudonym. You just leave it blank and say you're anonymous. But if you don't leave your name, we can't mention you in the show. And you can follow us on Twitter. It's the Big Bad BS. It's all one word in the search bar thing on Twitter. And you can leave a comment on YouTube. Obviously, if you go to the comment bit, you can leave comments. And you probably know YouTube better than I do, because I suck when it comes to that stuff. So, what have you guys been up to this week? Have you done any bike stuff? Or just bullshit?
Well, as you both know, I went back to Yorkshire for my granddad's funeral, which was obviously not great, but at the same time, it was really, really good. You know, there was really good turnout. 200 people turned up. I was carrying him in the coffin, and I had my head on the right-hand side of it, so I couldn't see how many people were actually in the church. But once we set him down, I sort of looked over, and I was like, Jesus. Well, I didn't shout Jesus, because I was in the church. I didn't want to upset anybody, you know. Upset the natives, you know. But it was a really good turnout. A really, really nice funeral. But even though everyone says everything has a silver lining, I had the pleasure of meeting my granddad's best mate, Andy Hetherington, which I didn't realise was 2 times world sidecar champion alongside Darren Dixon, who turns out to be Jake Dixon's dad. in Moto 2. So it was quite interesting to listen to some of Andy's stories about him and Darren, and obviously I was asking as soon as he said he knew Jake Dixon, I was like, oh, what's he like? You know, went to full fan mode.
Can we get him on the podcast?
I've actually spoke to him, and he's
you spoke to Jake Dixon?
Andy. Say again?
You spoke to Jake Dixon?
No, I spoke to Andy Hetherington, and he obviously knows Jake very well because he was with Jake's dad when they won the Sidecar World Championship. So I was just asking questions about him and stuff like that, and I mean Andy's definitely well up for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, cool. 2-time Sidecar World Champion.
Yeah, he's a really nice bloke as well. And you'll get on with him because you'll both just talk each other's ear off because that's what you go. By the sounds of it, you can both waffle a bit.
Yeah, potato waffles are my favourite.
So yeah, that was really cool to get talking to him, and then went and saw me old man for a bit. But he took me to a cafe actually in Pickering called the NY500 Cafe, which was really cool. Had loads of different rally cars in there, like really rare ones as well, motorbikes. And I had the pleasure of seeing Joey Dunlop's helmet there in a display case, signed as well. I was going to go and ask the guy if he wanted to sell it, but I just thought, you know what? Probably going to be like, nah, piss off, mate.
Yeah, you've seen some of them pictures. They looked really good. Looked like a cool little cafe. I was looking at it on Google Maps and trying to come up with excuses as how I can get to this cafe just to go up and have a look at it. Like I want to.
You don't need it. You don't need an excuse to go to God's own country. You get yourself up there to Yorkshire.
God, I hate
absolutely
it when people call it that.
Beautiful. Why do you hate it when people call it that? It's the most
such a stupid name for it.
It's just the best place in the world.
Well, you can say that if you want, but they can't do a chip butty.
They can do a chip,
No,
but
they
you just
can't.
went to the wrong chippy.
No, I went to York, and whenever I went into that chip shop in York, as far as I'm concerned, that chip shop was representing Yorkshire. And I asked for a chip butty, and what I got was a diabolical attempt at anything even close to resembling a chip butty. It was terrible.
I guarantee, if you were to go back to that chippy now, it'd probably be shut, out of business.
Well,
And you went to the wrong place for chips. You need the best fish and chips in the world is Whitby, guaranteed. You cannot get better.
well, I can agree to disagree with you there.
Yeah, I'll also disagree with that.
Well, I know you will, because you're from down south in Devon. And yeah, that's you. So yeah, that's sort of all I got up to. Chippy, what have you been up to?
Not a lot, really. I haven't really done any bike stuff because, as you know, I still don't have a bike. It closer to learning how to ride a bike or get a license. But I did sign up to give blood this week, which I'm doing on Sunday.
A noble cause, young chap heart, very noble.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Is Ash, are you going to come down? I mean, we could both walk to it from our houses. It's only at the town
I
hall.
don't think I am. I'm a bit busy that weekend.
Why?
Because I'm busy.
Doing
You're
what?
busy. It's Sunday.
What's too busy?
I'm
What
busy.
can you be doing?
There's no racing on. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's no racing on, but I'm spending time with my kids, you know, doing the dad thing.
Do you remember
I'm sure
when we
you
went
just
to
spend-
Romania, Chippy? Do you remember when we went to Romania? We all went on the lad's holiday, and we found out that weekend that Ash is a massive pussy and he's scared of everything.
Yes. He is scared
I'm
of
not
everything.
scared of
You
everything.
are
Well,
scared.
come and have your blood then. Come and give some blood.
Come and have your blood.
It's the best way. It is the best way to give to charity because
That is
you
the best
donate
way.
money.
It's
Money can
free.
be abused. Blood can't be abused. It's free to give. It's like if you
I've
were
given
injured.
blood in the past.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
What?
Where?
As a blood test or giving blood?
No,
as
as in giving blood.
I don't believe that.
Oh, well, you can believe what you like. Shove it in your ass.
I think Ash, you should go and give blood if the opportunity's there.
I think you should.
I think
Come with
you
me
should.
this
I think you
Sunday.
should come as well, Sam. Come all
This
the way
Sunday,
up.
12 o'clock.
I've given
Well,
This
blood.
Sunday,
what-
12 o'clock at the town hall.
I've given blood as well, but he's making me feel bad for not giving blood.
You should give blood every 6 months, 6 months. Yeah, I
Should.
think you do it every
Would
4
you take
months.
blood? If you got injured, would you take blood?
Well, of course I would.
Well, so while you're perfectly well, then you
Well,
should be
I
giving
haven't.
blood.
I haven't ever needed blood, so I've given what I'm going to get back.
We haven't needed blood yet. You might need it in the future.
Imagine
Stop making
you
me
were
feel
lying
bad
in
for not
bed.
giving blood. You
Imagine you were
absolute
lying-
specky nerd.
Imagine you were lying in a hospital bed and you needed blood, and the doctor or the nurse, he or she walked up and they were like, This young gentleman needs some blood, but I can see that he's never given any, so fucking let him die. That'll be you, Ash. Bet you wish you'd give him now.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the town hall.
I've given blood before, and I'm not against giving blood at all.
Well, come on Sunday then.
You know, you just want me to make me sound bad on the podcast. Look at your little face with a little smiley face with your little fucking teeth poking out, you little shitbag.
Tell you what, if we can get 100 likes on YouTube, would you give blood?
Oh.
1,000, yeah.
1,000? We're never going to get 1,000 listeners. We barely even get 50 listeners. If we get 100 listeners on YouTube, you should be giving blood. Never mind 100 likes.
Oh, look, where has this come from? Everyone seems to think I've got a problem with giving blood. I don't. I'm just not going this weekend. Go anytime.
When are you going, then? Right, the next one's on the 12th. In the next town along.
Yeah, well, I'm busy on the 12th.
What are you doing on the 12th?
I see a part.
Oh, that is a Sunday, sorry.
I see
There's one in 2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days. Work, you know.
They can do it after work. You finish at 5. You don't start till 10.
Yeah, well.
You've got plenty of chances to do it.
Oh, shut up, you fucking...
I'm dragging Nicola with me.
Oh, yeah.
She's giving blood for the first time because she's not scared.
Did you ever hear...
It's okay, Ash. You can admit it.
This is
is
massively digressing, though. But have you ever heard people say that the blood inside your body's blue until it hits oxygen and then it turns red? Have you ever heard that?
No.
I've not heard that.
I heard that years ago. But it turns out it was
I think they were just having you on to...
No, because I was able to... I was able to disprove it straight away. It was like, well, whenever you give blood, it doesn't touch oxygen. It comes straight out your vein and into a tube, and it's still red. And whoever said it to me was just like, oh, never thought of that. I was like, yeah, you numpty. I heard that a few times, but it's not true. Anyway, as fun as it is to try and build up peer pressure to make Ash do something that he's obviously scared to do, we've got to move on with the podcast. So I've got a little bit of news this weekend, which is mildly bike related. Well, actually, not even this weekend. It was this afternoon.
What's that then?
Well, I took myself into town and I got myself a theory test.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
well done.
I was sitting doing the test, and I've done practice after practice on my phone, and I think I did it 12 times on my phone, and I failed it once, and whenever I failed it like marginally by like 1 point, which worked out as 2%. But I thought 9 times out of 10 I'm passing this, so I'm going. So I went and done it. I was sitting doing it too, and it was asking me questions that I hadn't come up, but they're all obvious. They're all obvious. If there's a question like what's it going to affect, it's usually your brakes. It's just obvious questions. You always go for what's the safest option here. So and then I got it 94%. I got it. And then the hazard perception.
Nice.
Hazard perception was a piece of piss, innit? So yeah.
I hate hazard perception.
Do you?
I hate it so much because I'm just watching it and I'm just like, well, that could be a hazard. That could be a hazard. There's so many hazards going on.
I know. And you click it too many times and it tells you fuck off.
Click it too many times and it's just like, oh, the next video because you clearly just sat there clicking. It's like, look at all the hazards around you.
You're just scared of everything. We're going 3 weeks now. 3 weeks with the Big Bad Bike Show. Are you still happy with the Big Bad Bike Show, or do you think we should have went with one of them other weird names that we were coming up with?
I can't even remember what I came up with.
I still think my name was the best.
What was your name?
What? Elbows Out, was it?
No, Knee Down.
Oh.
But you all thought that sounded like a marriage proposal podcast.
Yeah.
How do you propose to your partner? No, I put Elbows Out.
What mine was.
Mine was Elbows Out. That's the one I had. I was like, Elbows Out.
I know what yours was.
What was it?
It was 1 down, 5 up.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but that's
crap.
I thought that was cliche. A lot of people say it. I listened to a podcast the other day. It was about a motorbike podcast, and I can't mind the name of it. Couldn't have been that good. Probably better than ours, to be honest. But at the end of it, it was an American dude who's all about being happy, typical American. Oh, everything's so good, I'm happy. And he was like, remember guys, 1 down, 5 up. And I was like, oh, that's so fucking cliche, that. Whenever life gets you down, it's 1 down, 5 up. It's like, oh, fuck off. Just sod off.
Well, I thought it was very clean and
Get
very...
to soddery.
Well, we all ended up agreeing on the Big Bad Bike Show.
No, we didn't end up agreeing on the Big Bad Bike Show. I get fed up waiting for us all to agree, so I just told you it's the Big Bad Bike Show, and that's what we're fucking calling it. I'm swearing again.
No, I thought it sounded good.
Yeah, so did I.
I think every time you swear, you should put some money aside, and that's what you should be donating to the Irish road racing.
I thought that. Yeah, we should have a little swear jar, a virtual swear jar.
Yeah,
Sam will be bankrupt.
I know.
I'm doing a swear jar in my house. Every time I say a bad word, my 2 daughters say to me, "You said a bad word, Daddy," and I'm like, oh. So I had to put money in the pot.
Well,
that's what it's like.
Does the money go to them?
Yeah, it does. It will go to them eventually. I end up buying them some crap piece of plastic that I'm only eventually going to put into the bin. However, the other day, right, because I made that video, didn't I? I made that little video. I thought I'll put it on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So people will give some people some perspective. My battery was kind of flat, and my old man had told me to get a trickle down battery feed thing, and I never did. But last week I got one. And I took a video of it, and I tried to make a YouTube video, and I edited it, and it was pretty crap because it was obvious I didn't know what I'm talking about, just bambling through it.
Do you know what? I didn't even watch it.
Well, you must have watched it because I sent it to you and Chippy. Bragging. I sent it to Ash mostly because look what I can do. Because he said last week I wasn't very practical. And I was like, Billy, big bollocks, I've done something, I'm such a big dude.
I'm surprised you didn't freaking chew your hand off with the chain.
And then he just replied back going, your chain's a fucking state, sort that out. There's another pound into the pot of it. So anyway, digressed a little bit because that's what I do. I went to the motorbike store, Wales Motorcycle or something it's called. I went down there, my daughter was with me, and I was like, do you want to come in? One of them was like, no, and the other one was like, yeah, I'll come in. So I took her inside, and I don't know what she was expecting, but she seen these bikes sitting outside. They were doing direct access, they were doing CBTs, some customers would park their bikes, there was a few bikes for sale, and she was like, what bikes are for sale, what are these, what are they? And I was like, darling, I don't know, I don't understand, I'm not sure what's what. We walked into the store, it's a massive superstore of motorbikes, and there must have been about 400 bikes, like more, but that's just off the top of my head. Just bike after bike, and her eyes just lit up. She was like, whoa, and I was like, yeah, it's cool in here, isn't it? Just bike after bike. And I walked around a little bit and I said, what's your favourite one? And she picked this Harley Davidson that's all orange with like a fire print on it. I was like, darling, me and you's going to get on, that's cool. But I would never buy a bike like that, like never. Like maybe a Harley Davidson, a black one, but I wouldn't go for something so outrageously mad. Like it was basically just look at me, orange flames on it. Yeah,
I bet she was looking, thinking, look, you could have this bike, Dad, but you don't have a license.
Yeah. Are you? So we were walking around. I had bought the chain stuff and all. We were walking around, and then I seen this Triumph Tiger 1200.
Nice bike.
And I seen that, and I was like, part of it was white. I don't really like white. I would prefer like blue or something. But I seen that, and I was like, Jesus, I want this bike. I was just looking at it.
They are really nice.
I was looking at it thinking, that's the sort of bike I want. I want something like that, but it looks big, like it's got some presence. Like people know, get out of the way. There's a guy in a bike coming. Because at the minute I'm in a 125, and you just have, just get no character whatsoever. But yeah, and it's got the boxes on it, so it's the sort of touring thing that I would like.
Yeah, they are really, really good bikes.
Yeah.
They also do the Tiger in 800cc as well, which is pretty good as well. But
I saw
if
that,
I was getting that kind of bike, it would be a GS 1200 or 1250.
I saw it, and it's just like my eyes lit up, and I was like looking at it and trying to pretend. Like there was a load of bikers in there, and you could tell they were like hardcore bikers, and they've been riding bikes all their life. And I was looking at this Triumph, trying to make it look like, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. And my daughter was just like, you can get that, Daddy, whenever you get your license. And I was like, yeah, cheers. Just like turned and walked out with my tail between my legs. I also saw a Triumph, another 1200 Triumph, but it's like the Scrambler.
Oh yeah. The because they make that in I believe it's a 900. And you remember when we were in Cyprus when we were at that biker bar?
Yeah. No, I don't, because it was smashed. But yeah, no.
Well, yeah. Well, when we went outside to look at his motorbike.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Is that whenever you get the t-shirts?
Yeah, that was the 900 Scrambler.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 1200 one, it's elevated a little bit more. It's a bit more, looks a lot more off-roady.
There's a guy around my way's got one. It's nice. It's blue with it gold trimming on it. Like really, really nice. Must be a new bike because he had a different one before, but he's got that. Gorgeous.
Yeah, they are nice. I actually really like the 900 Scrambler. I would quite like to have one of them, but you can't have every bike in the world unless you win the lottery, so.
No, that's true. Or you steal them.
No way you could, but then you get nicked, don't you?
Not advocating to our listeners to go out and steal motorbikes, by the way. That's
you can't afford a bike, just steal it.
To me. What, going to get you in trouble again, Chippy?
Oh, no.
You had some you had some guests around your house at the weekend?
I thought you skipped past that bit.
No, I remember that.
It was a pleasure having them here.
Was it? You can tell.
Another lie!
You can tell by in your voice. So, for anybody, obviously nobody's going to know apart from me, you and Ash. Or you, Ash and I don't know. Chippy sent us a message at the weekend.
If she's listening to this, she's going to kill me.
Anyway, Chippy sent us a message at the weekend just allowing us to understand how much joy he felt that was it in-laws of yours had come round with their children, and he was talking about the things.
Just the children.
He was talking about the things they were doing. They were doing this and they're doing that, and he was just the way he was describing it. Chippy was under the impression that these kids were slightly more unruly, and every message he sent me, I just thought, no, mate, that's just kids. that is just what kids are like. They're all like that. He said, oh, they're petting my dog too hard. No, my kids, not so much now, but when he was younger, they beat the shit out of my dog. Probably because I beat the shit.
Yeah, well, you do anyway.
No, I'm good to my dog. Anyway, Chippy, that's going to happen, mate, whenever you get kids. Whenever you have kids in your life.
No.
That's going to happen.
No.
Yeah, well.
He keeps telling me he's going to get the snip and just tell her that he can't have kids.
Well, it's on the podcast.
Does she know? Would she know that?
That's nice. It's on the podcast.
She won't listen to this. I think she gave up. She listened to the first episode.
I think she's going to know when you have like 3 weeks of not being able to sit down properly. And your nut being the size of a watermelon.
Anyway, bikes.
Before we go on to the bikes.
Didn't one of them leave a little shite in the toilet for you as well?
It was not little.
No.
Oh, it's whenever they piss all over the toilet seat and all over the floor. God. A few years ago, my youngest, who's slightly more unruly than the oldest, we were outside and she just took down her trousers and started peeing outside, and we were like, darling, you can't pee outside, and she just looked at us blankly and goes, the dog does. We're like, yeah, the dog does pee outside, that's true, but then I think if I had a little boy and he went outside and hung his dingle out and started peeing down the drain, I wouldn't think anything of it. I'd be like, yeah, he's just like his old man, just pees whenever he wants. So I realised I was being sexist. So now I encourage it. I'm like, yes, darling, go outside into the back garden and piss. Just make sure Peter Pedo isn't hanging over the wall looking at you while you're doing it, and you're fine. Yeah, we do need to start talking about bikes. But before we start talking about bikes, I know it's not a footballing podcast, but I don't think we can go without mentioning the 7-0 thrashing that happened last night.
Yeah, that was amazing. Was unbelievable.
That was amazing. Like, at one stage it was 3-0, and I was chopping onions or making dinner or something. I looked over and it was just phenomenal. Never seen anything like it in my life. Where's Leeds?
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, Villa had a good win as well at the weekend. We beat Palace 1-0.
Well, I think we're 17th for the moment, so we're just above relegation. That's what it was the last time I seen it. But this is not football, so come on, bikes. As you both know, I obviously had a bit of a busy weekend with the funeral and everything, so I only managed to watch.
Well, I think we should highlight the fact that last week, whenever you actually did the podcast, it was the morning of your grandfather's funeral. So
yeah,
I think you deserve a little bit of a.
You have a little bit of leeway.
A little bit of leeway for the fact that you made it to the podcast last week. Considering it was our second episode, it wouldn't have been good for the show to people to be dropping out. So for that, yeah, well done, mate. But Yeah, if you couldn't watch the race, and you couldn't watch the race. At the end of the day, I know I joked a few weeks ago about how the bikes comes before everything, but there are some things that just comes first. And obviously, your grandfather's funeral.
I appreciate that.
We'll give you a Bible, but don't let it happen again, eh?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So what did you actually see? Did you see?
I seen all I saw was the Super Sport and World Superbike races. That's all I saw. I didn't see any of the free practice, any of the qualifying. That's just what I saw. I didn't manage
all
to
the races. Or
I know I saw race one.
Race one and saw race one of each one. He saw Super Sport race one and World Superbike race one.
So it was just race. It was the second day. I didn't see any of them. But by the sounds of it, you guys were saying there was a lot of stop starting on that one.
There was, but the second day was class. It was brilliant. The racing was great.
it was.
It was. It was just edge of your seat stuff, wasn't it, Chippy?
It really was.
It was.
In fact, I'm going to get the results up now. But yeah, was it the Super
so
Pole?
I was going to say, are we talking like obviously Alvaro Bastitas?
Well, do you want to talk about the Super Sport first and get race one and race two of the Super Sport out of the way?
Okay.
So talk us through race one then, Chippy. No, we'll not worry too much about the qualifying and stuff because it's all academic by the time. Once they're on the queue, once they're on the line and they're waiting for the lights to go out, by that stage, nobody really cares about the qualifying, do they?
Well,
yeah,
that's true. I always watch qualifying.
I always watch qualifying, but once the race starts, like if you start in 15th and finish first, who cares about the qualifying in the day? You don't really want to talk about it. Listeners don't want to. Listeners aren't sitting down going, "Oh, I hope they talk about the qualifying." Maybe they
only
are.
if somebody like that's usually at the back qualifies at the front, then that's something to talk about.
Or if it's like Moto3 and they start like tripping each other up, even though that did happen this weekend as well.
So come on, Chippy.
Start us off then, Chippy, yeah.
SSP.
Right. If I'm honest, I can't remember much about the World Supersport Race 1. All I can tell you is Chan On Chu won. Taz McKenzie scored 2 points in 14th. John McPhee finished 10th. Harry Triller finished at the back. That is all I can actually remember from the race. And I can't even remember that because I'm looking at it from a sheet. All I was pleased about was Buliga didn't win because I was worried he was just going to run away and dominate.
Well, like he did in the last one.
Yeah. So I'm glad he finished 5th in that one.
I mean, John McPhee, he seemed to struggle a little bit in that first race. He did go back to like 14th at one point. There was a point where in the race I saw him just dropping back, and I'm thinking, oh, come on, you can do this. And then obviously started to build them up again, which was quite nice to see. So it's good that he finished in 10th.
Yeah, it's because Taz McKenzie scored a couple of points as well.
Yeah. It's good to see our lads doing well.
Yeah,
considering that it's obviously very well they're new to it.
Yeah, and Taz has still got like 20 horsepower down.
Something like that.
What on
So I hope for the next race.
Is that with the what ended up happening with the Hondas? By the way, I didn't actually see that. But did they manage to do it in time? Because they were going to take points off them.
No, because it was Phillip Island and this one where they had to be down on power. The homologation.
Homologation
should be happening before the next round.
Right, okay.
Is it Assen? It is Assen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it should all be sorted and they should be back up to speed. I think there's a test next week, so they should all be fully back up to speed, and hopefully a bit higher in the pack as well.
Yeah,
they'll have the extra horsepower. But Taz McKenzie, his teammate, that Norridin, he's not slow. He finished ahead of him a couple of times. He's going to give him a run for his money, I think.
Perhaps he shall.
This World Superbike website is so unfriendly to use. So it's not very user friendly at all. Like I'm looking to try and find the results, and I can only find results for World Superbike. I can't find the results.
Right. Okay. Go back to the website. Hang on, let me just.
I'm on the website.
Are you on the website?
I'm on the website.
Hang on. Right. You're on results, yeah.
I'm on results.
Hey, see the top right where it says select category.
You're going to make this look really easy now, aren't you? Select category. Yes. Yeah, I can see that.
World Supersport.
Hold on, my laptop needs a bit more coal in it to get it working. It's like one of them steam trains from like the 1900s. Gotta give me some more coal, Johnny. I'm collecting. I'm touching select category and nothing's happening. It's not even working.
I
when it comes up,
I
select
find
World Supersport.
Crash.net's the best one. Really.
Anyway, I was
You
thinking.
can go back to any year as well.
Race 1.
You can go back to like 2000 here.
Race 1. Did Bulligan not have like some sort of mistake, or did he come off, or did he get pushed out? Or
I think he just struggled. I think he just struggled. He didn't have the pace. I thought he was just going to run away with it, but no, I'm pretty sure he just struggled. Like I say, I can't really remember the race that well, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he just struggled.
I know Anshu won because the trouble was race 1. I had it on my phone because I was otherwise occupied. So it was one of them when you should be concentrating on something else, but you've got your phone on, sitting watching it. Somebody's blabbing away to you, and you're like, yeah, listening. Oh God, yeah. Oh no, yeah. You're concentrating on anything else, but you're just watching the race. But I had race 2 on the TV. I had my little book in my hand, like a little proper journalist. I was taking notes, and I was thinking.
Race 2 was good actually towards the end.
I was taking notes, and I was like, maybe I could go to Open University, become a journalist, and become a motorbike journalist, and then become like one of the best motorbike journalists ever. That's what I could do. And then I could be in like BT Sport or TNT, whatever the hell it's going to be called next year. And this time next year I could be like a millionaire. And then I realised that I wouldn't even be in the class this time next year. So I just went back.
Then you realised I'm just me, and I just went on our
yeah, my ADHD.
I'm in my own head.
My ADHD kicked in and I started thinking about something else. Anyway, yeah, race 2.
How did Johnny Ray get on in race 2?
Oh, we're not got to that.
Oh, we're still on. Sorry, we're still on
World Supersport.
Sorry, we're still on Supersport. How did John McPhee get on in that then?
12th.
Because I didn't see that one.
12. No, he finished 11th.
11th.
He finished 11th, and he was very close to Self-Woglou. He finished in 10th. He was very close to him. So that was. I know it wasn't a top 10 finish, but he was close to a top 10 finish on a dry track. I think that's decent. Like I wrote down here, I honestly think next year, I'm not sure what sort of contract he's in, whether he's in a year contract or 2-year contract, but I honestly think next year if John McPhee, or in a couple of years if John McPhee was to get on a more competitive bike, like I honestly think he could do something in that championship.
He could end up in Chan Onchu's seat because it's kind of the same. It's Puchetti Racing, isn't it? But I think John McPhee's in like a sort of sister team to that. So if Chan Onchu got promoted to World Superbike, he could have his seat, hopefully. That's where I'd like to see it to go.
Do you think if this is like surmising quite a lot, but you think if John McPhee got a decent ride, like if he got Chan Onchu's seat ride, for example, next year or in 2025, and he had a good season, do you think would that be a back door for him to get back into Moto2, or do you think is his time in that paddock gone? I don't know. That's a question.
That is a question. I don't know.
No, I don't think he would. Personally, I think his time's gone. I think there's more chance of him going to World Superbikes, but he has to do World Supersport first. He might just end up being like a Keenan Self-Woglou if he does really well. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. He's getting top tens just about. We're getting ahead of ourselves because he's a British lad. We just want to see him doing well. You know what I mean? That's what we want. But race 2. It was really close, it was really tight. There was a lot of chopping and changing at the top. There was Manzi, Karakasula, Belega, Onchu, all racing. And I wrote all their names down. The Yamaha, 2 Ducatis, a Kawasaki. I've put it in a big bracket and I've just said any one of these could win the championship this year. They just had to get in a row. Any one of them could. It's a really good championship. It's really wide open. And what I like is all the bikes at the top, they're all in a similar sort of spec. They're all. You get the feeling that any week anyone could win. It's not like the superbikes, because you watch the superbikes and you're like, unless Bautista messes up here, or somebody does something to him, we're pretty sure he's favourite to win. And if he's not going to win, then another Ducati's going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the Super Sport, the racing just seems like more competitive.
Better racing. I mean, Chan Onchu was miles ahead, and then I think he used too much of his tyre too quickly.
Yeah.
And he was struggling towards the end. He lost all of his advantage and ended up 4th. Didn't even make the podium.
Yeah. He just
that's a shame.
Yeah, he just went backwards, didn't he?
But Belega finished on the podium, which kind of annoyed me. I'm just bored of Ducati.
You're proper anti-Ducati, aren't
I'm just sick of seeing that red bike at the front. It just does my head in.
But it's just it's a great bike, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I wrote
It
down.
is. And
I got wrote down.
I do like it.
Onchu led for so long. Karakasuda's last lap was really good, and it was his first race win since 2019. And then at the end, there was two tie riders, both Yamaha. They knocked each other off, which
that was brilliant.
I know I shouldn't laugh at people falling off, but it was just I found it rather amusing when they both just ran into each other. And you know who's not doing very well? I expect a little bit more coming from Moto2. Navarro.
Yeah, I thought he'd be better than he was.
Even if he was on a slightly under par bike, I thought Navarro, because
he's 10 Carter Yamaha.
Yeah.
That's like probably the best bike to be on, or best team to be in.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but anyway, I seen his name. I seen his name down the order, and I just wrote his name down because I'm a bike journalist now. Because I'm going to go to university, be a bike journalist. Anyway, I wrote his name down and just put a question mark beside it. I was like, Navarro was expecting a little bit more, and apparently when you're on the podium now, I say when you're on the podium like I expect to get on the podium, but apparently when riders are on the podium, they're no longer allowed to spray the champagne over the what do you call them? Then? Spectators. I don't know. In case some of them's non-alcoholic.
Last week there was I think it was Chan Onchu, or was it Toprak on the podium?
No, it was Chan Onchu
because they're Turkish. Because they're Muslim and that,
for religious
they can't
reasons.
have champagne.
Yeah, but that's a choice.
Them,
that's
really.
a choice, and that's a choice he makes. That's fine. That's his religious.
It's not like they got the gobs open trying to swallow it, though, is it?
No, he made a run for the door before they sprayed it.
I think. I think if he doesn't want to be sprayed, I think they would like.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
But it was the fans.
Did try and run out
the fans and the crew and all who are down below. They're not allowed. You're not allowed to spray them with champagne. But I guess it could be for the same reason. Maybe some of them are like, I've got religious reasons why I don't want. And then, but that would be part of it. If I was a fan and I managed to get into the paddock and see somebody win a race, I'd be like, I want to be part of it. Like, spray me, baby, spray me with your.
You'll be there with your shirt off, just like, come on,
give me your winning love juice. I'm not.
That's after the race. No.
Right, that's World Super Sport. That's good World Super Sport. Like following on from
World Superbike at the minute.
I don't know. The sprint race and race 2 in World Superbike was really good.
That's true.
But I do know what you mean. There actually looks like there's going to be some healthy competition in World Super Sport. World Superbike it does look like it's going to be a one horse race. It's like, but Batista's done it before. He got out in front before and started making mistakes. It's just the only thing is. This year, I know we're getting straight into it now, but this year, 3 years ago, whenever Batista came from MotoGP, he got into World Superbikes and he was smashing it round after round after round. Every race that Johnny Ray didn't win, he was coming second, or maybe third, usually second. And when he wasn't coming second, he would win. So whenever Batista started to make mistakes, Johnny Ray was Johnny Ray was right on his heels, and then that put more pressure on Batista. But this year, there's nobody really bringing any sort of fight to him. So Batista's winning, apart from maybe the odd race here and there, but he's going to win. And unless somebody's consistently coming second and staying as close with him as he can, he's just going to get farther ahead. And at the minute, behind Batista's just changing all over the place. Like sometimes it's Toprak, sometimes it's Johnny Ray, sometimes it's, Ronaldo.
The thing is, like, this sort of, I know it's only the start of the season, but this start of World Supers is like, it's kind of taking me back to when, obviously, it was Marc Marquez in MotoGP. He would check out massively at the at the front, and you're rooting for second and third place, or even like in fourth place. I find it a lot more interesting when they're proper, like first, second place are scrapping, like so much better. But
yeah, it is better. Not Marc Marquez, though. I could watch him dominate a season and be quite happy.
Yeah, well, you would, wouldn't you?
But we're not going to get into that because.
Do you know what? I watched the. Sorry, I know we're talking about the World Supers, but I actually watched the Marc Marquez.
It's good, isn't it?
Thing on Amazon, and do you know what? Even though I have my gripes about him, when he actually came around on that bit and was like, "Yeah, as a as a teammate and as a rider, I'm an absolute bastard. But in real life, I'm actually a really nice guy. I thought, well, fair play to him. At least he's admitting it.
I watched the first episode, but it's not that dislike Marquez, but I'm being really critical here, and I was tired. I was lying again. I was watching it on my phone. I was lying in bed. I was tired, but I just found the direction. You know the way they jumped back and forward and back and forward. Like they would take you forward and they'd show a race, and then they would take you back to his childhood, and then they'd go forward.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'm kind of finding it a bit hard to keep up with this as to what's going on. But I only watched episode 1, and like I said, I just finished the night shift. I was tired, and I was watching it on my phone, and so
It's really good.
I had to go
Give
back
it a
and watch
watch.
it again. Yeah, no, I will have to go back and watch it again. But let's get back into World Superbikes. Race 1.
Yes.
World Superbikes.
World Superbikes. World Superbikes, that's right.
So I'm going to be honest, I don't...
Well, I'll tell you what.
Much
Did you
race
watch?
one.
Who do you think won race 1? I'll give you.
Well, I'm going to say Alvaro Batista.
Who do you think came second?
Top Rack?
No.
Oh,
He did.
okay.
What, in race 1?
Did he?
Hang on, have I got the right one up?
Oh, he did. He did. It just doesn't say Top Rack. It says Razgadioglu.
Yeah, because I did watch that one, so I thought, yeah.
Well, why did
it
you
was
say
Top
you
Rack.
didn't then, if you have watched
No,
it?
because I'm saying I don't remember much of race 1.
Yeah. My
Remember he was
daughters...
third.
This is kind of digressing again. My daughters have watched the Wombles recently, and every time somebody says remember, I keep thinking, remember what the Womble you are. Anyway, there you go. That's just running through my head. ADHD.
Alright, Uncle Bulgaria, get back to bloody World Super.
Yeah, right. So Batista first, Razgadioglu, and then it was Locatelli. I'd love to see Locatelli do a lot better. I know he came third, but
He's a good rider.
he
I
is a
like
good
him.
rider.
He's a good rider. They're all good riders, if you
Got
think
Redding,
about
though.
it.
I know.
Scott
Was it
Redding.
race 1? He jumped
That
off the
was-
bike and punched the...
Well, did you see before, as he was riding into the
Oh,
pit,
yeah,
it was him that smashed the screen.
Yeah.
I thought it was an accident, but yeah, he punched the screen,
Oh, he
smashed
did.
that,
He,
and then,
he got off his bike and just belted it, didn't he?
yeah,
Proper
and he was
raging.
raging in the pit garage.
It's got to
as
be
well.
annoying, though.
I don't
It's
think he's
just-
going to see out the season with BMW.
What did he go to BMW for anyway? I know his hands were maybe tied. He maybe had to go somewhere, but he knew he was never gonna have a title chance at BMW. Like,
Yeah, there must have been better offers on the table.
like again, I know I joke about it, but I don't really know what I'm talking about, to be totally honest. So, but I'm under the impression if you go to BMW, you're like a test rider, because they're still trying to get a bike that's decent enough to, ride for the championship, but they haven't even won a race, have they? So
It is a good bike, but it's just
It is.
It's
It
missing
genuinely is a
something.
good bike.
I think you that's, again, you go to BMW from a nobody's point of view. As far as I'm concerned, you go to BMW, you're a glorified test rider. There you go. I said it. You can agree or disagree. That's what I think. You're not going to BMW with the intention to win a World Superbike Championship. It's like MotoGP a few years ago, maybe not so much now, but a few years ago, if you went to KTM, you weren't going to KTM thinking, I'm going to go to KTM and win the championship. You think, I'm going to go to KTM and help them build a bike that in the future can win the championship. Test rider.
yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, I know there'll be actual bike folk out there, I'd be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But there you go. I'm a fan's point of view. I'm a fan. I'm allowed my opinion. And it must be very annoying because as far as I'm concerned, Scott Redding's got the talent to win the World Superbike Championship. He's got the talent. He's a bloody good
Yeah.
rider. Going back to Mark
It's funny.
Marquez.
Did you hear though when he was sat in the pits? It just caught it on the audio. I heard him say "fucking bike shite" and point at the bike. I was just like, "Did you hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, fucking bike shite."
If anybody wants to be punching their bike and giving off, it should be Tom Sykes. That guy's no luck whatsoever.
All 6 races now, he's pitted. He hasn't finished a single race yet this season.
And he is an ex-World Superbike champion, so he's obviously got the talent to be a World Superbike champion. He's got the talent.
I don't know what's going on with that team or that bike.
Right, but you don't
Someone's
see
letting
him.
them
You
down.
don't see him jumping off the bike and punching it and kicking it.
Hmm.
So maybe Scott Redding's just a bit of a child, eh?
Maybe, but he's British rider, so we've
But
got.
then again, Tom Sykes has won a championship. He can maybe sit comfortable knowing he's won a championship. But going back briefly to Mark Marquez, I know this is digressing again. But can you remember the year he won his Moto2 championship? He was racing against Scott Redden that year. And Scott Redden was in the lead. Going into the last race, he was in the lead. I'm pretty sure he was. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure in the last race he was in the lead. Was it an injury? All he had to do was finish in top 5 or something, and Scott Redden would have won the Moto2 championship. And he broke his wrist, I think it was. I think he broke his wrist and could barely ride his bike. And then Mark Marquez went on and won it, and everybody was like, oh, Imperial Mark Marquez. And it's like, hold on a minute. He only won the bloody championship because fucking Scott Redden injured himself. And even before that season was over, Mark Marquez already had the Honda deal, and Scott Redden had to ride for a team that wasn't as good, even though he was every bit of chance to win the Moto2 championship at the end of the year. Anyway, that digressed a little bit. I just want to highlight the fact that I think Scott Redden's a bloody good rider, and he's obviously really pissed off.
Yeah. The thing is, like, all of anybody that's in any of the bike races, whether it be BSB, World Supers, Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP, anything, road racing, they're all amazing, really, if you think about it.
They are.
Yeah, they're all
like to be there, you've got to be bollocks,
really
you know
good.
what I mean? Yeah. To be able to ride the bikes the way they do.
I know we joked about it once or twice, but I bet if you sat on the bike behind Annika Raska, you'd still fucking notice it. Like, you'd be sitting there going, Jesus,
she'd leave every one of us standing.
This class is fast. Yeah, but race
I still
one.
can't believe you picked her as your pick to win Moto3.
Why not?
Power
to the women.
No, she's not.
I don't know what. Do you know what? I don't know what your problem with Annika Raska is.
Because she shouldn't be on the Moto3 because she's far too slow.
But she might surprise you this year.
But she's
I bet you 50 quid she doesn't surprise me.
But she won the championship.
I tell you what, I bet you blood. If she wins a race, you don't have to give blood.
I'm not saying she's going to win a race. I'm just saying
she might win a race. If there's a
she might.
You said she was going to win the championship.
Yeah, well, she might.
Well, he had to pick somebody, to be honest. I think he just picked her out of a hat. Will we go on to race 2? Sprint race.
Sprint race. This is where it all was, wasn't it?
This is
who won?
The sprint race. Straight away, start it, and lap 1 it was at the first or second corner, and there was a crash, and it was.
Was it Lowe's and
Lowe's,
what's his name? Petrucci lent into Lowe's, didn't he?
Well, that's what Lowe's says.
Not Lowe's. Lowe's didn't come off again, did he?
It looked on one angle like Alex Lowe's just either lost the front or missed his braking point and basically ran into Petrucci. And then from another angle, it looked like Petrucci had lent into him, and then he had nowhere to go. But in his interview, because he had an interview later on, he said that Petrucci was a little bit unsafe with his riding, so he's obviously trying to suggest that Petrucci lent in on him. I've not heard anything from Petrucci to say otherwise, but that's what I heard. But per Loris Bass just got caught up in it. That was it. He just got Lowe's and Petrucci crashed into each other. Loris Bass got caught up on it. The bike went flying. I actually wrote down there that Baz he was a little bit lucky because following him the whole way, I think it was Lowe's bike was just like there was Baz was going and just coming behind him the whole time was just Lowe's bike, and it was like, oh, I don't know how these guys had the balls to do it. Imagine going round and crash. I'd crash once and I'd be like, no, I'd be like helmet and that's it, done. You know, thanks very much for letting me try, but I'm just going to leave me fucking, I just shit myself.
That's what I mean. These guys, they come off, doing stupid speeds, and it's like, even though they've just come off, they've clattered their heads, probably broken a wrist, and immediately like get me back on the bike. Let's keep going.
Do you remember a few years ago, whenever that's what's going back 4 or 5, maybe longer than that? Whenever it was Laverty, Eugene Laverty, he was on. Was it a MotoGP bike or was it a World Superbike? Anyway, I'm not sure what one it was. But anyway, his brakes wouldn't work. And he was doing like 140 mile an hour, and he had to literally jump off the bike. Like coming into the corner, he just had to jump off the bike. I was on my little, like very slow 125 the other day, like wringing its neck, struggling to get 60 mile an hour going up a very slight hill on the A1, like just to try and get 60. And it just ran through my head, like Eugene Laverty having to jump off a bike at like 140 mile an hour, and I was just thinking, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Yeah, what they do is insane. But
crazy.
yeah, so there was a crash, and as soon as I seen that, I thought, I didn't think oil, but as soon as I seen that, I was like, that's a nasty crash, that, because there's 3 bikes involved. You need to tend to them to make sure they're all right, because it was turn 1. Like, I seen that, and I just thought, I was actually thinking, I was like, is that going to be red flagged? And then they didn't red flag it.
I thought red flag straight away.
Yeah, so did I, but obviously the organisers didn't, or the marshals didn't, and to which came to in lap 2. Do you want to go on?
So, how did?
Oh, sorry, were you waiting for me?
No, it's just.
How did Jonathan Ray get on in second race?
Well, this is it. So, hang on, wait before we get there.
Oh
so
no, we're still on sprint, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Just the first lap of the sprint race.
Yeah. so that was the first lap. Then lap 2, Johnny Ray slipped on oil where the crash was.
Yeah.
Went down.
And you knew as soon as his front wheel went and he crashed. Like, some people crash, you know it's a crash. As soon as he slid down, I straight away was like, "There's oil in the track." Like, you could tell just the way he crashed, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And it was. Do you ever see?
And he was waving to the marshals.
Have you ever seen
like wave the flag?
Have you ever seen it when motorbike riders crash and they do that cool thing where they kind of slide and they come to the end of the slide and just kind of stand themselves up? Like, this is just.
Yes, I have seen that.
This is just every day. It's what I do, and they kind of dust off their shoulders and James Bond it on with their life. He kind of did that where he slid off and just got up, and as soon as he was getting up, he was just waving his hands as if to say, "Stop the race, oil, oil, oil." I was like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so
that could have been a lot worse than what.
Because there was still debris on the side of the road, or on the side. Like, there's still debris.
Was his bike totaled?
No.
Alex Lowe's was.
Yeah, Johnny Ray was able to jump on his bike and ride it back around to the paddock, but there was still bikes on the crash site. You know what I mean? And there was oil in the track. If 2 or 3 of them had crashed, like if Johnny had crashed and touched somebody's back wheel and took them off as well, it would have been absolute carnage.
Yeah.
How did he not notice that?
Well, at least he managed to stop the race though. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Why did they? I don't know. I'm not a marshal, but they're there to pick up and stuff like this. They're there to I think there was something that it all kicked off because the marshals didn't tell race control or something like that about the oil. Yeah. So then they never got the instruction to red flag it. I don't know. It's something like that. But that if you're a marshal and you're sitting there and you know there's oil in the track, you're not going to be like, oh, well, race control hasn't told me to red flag it. The whole point of a marshal, the whole point of the way the marshals are set up is you're the first person to see it, put your red flag up, and then the next marshal will see it and he'll put his red flag up, and it'll slowly go the whole way around the track, unless it's changed from whenever I was watching, like actually going to bikes, pretending to be a marshal at 11 years old with a little piece of paper hanging around my... just so you can get back
wearing a high vis.
just so you can get like 2 feet closer to the bikes, stand in the prohibited area. It's alright, I'm a marshal. Not having a clue what was going on. Yeah, but you know what I mean? That's you don't watch something happening and then go, oh, I'm going to wait for race control to tell me that I had to put my red flag up. Like, if it started raining, what are you going to do? No, I'm going to wait for race control to tell me it's raining. No, you put your raining flag up to tell everybody it's raining in that spot. Or you put a white flag up whenever you see the raining flag. So, I don't understand. Why were they waiting for anything? Why were they waiting for instruction? You're there as a marshal to deliver the instruction to the rest of the marshals. Anyway, it was bizarre. Thankfully, nothing happened. Nobody was hurt yet. Nobody was hurt. I say yet. That's premonition something that's going to happen later. Actually, nobody was hurt, and they were able to get on with it. There was a bit of confusion as to whether Alex Lowe's was going to start. They're going to get in the restart. Did they get in the restart in the end? I can't mind.
Yeah, he got in the restart. Yeah, they sent him out.
That's a bit strange.
I wasn't sure on the rules. I didn't think that he'd be allowed to start. But
something to do with the fact that because
it
was a red flag after one lap, it was a brand new race start or something.
Right.
And that meant that he was justifiably allowed to start the race. I don't know. It was a bit strange because he had already crashed before the red flag, so I don't understand why he got out. But he did. So
Alex must have been on the spare bike then, was he?
Yeah. Oh, that first bike was ruined.
Yeah.
It was proper mangled.
They usually don't like using the spare bike, do they? It's usually the crapper bike.
Yeah.
So, Ash, lap 1, 3 bikes in crash. Don't like to see crashing, but whenever whenever you're retrospectively looking at it and you know that everybody's got up and walked away, you can kind of look at the crash as a bit more exciting. You know what I mean? You don't want to see people crash.
Yeah.
I definitely don't. I was watching it with my daughters and they're like, oh, I like seeing people crash because they're like 6. You know what I mean? I'm trying to explain to you. You don't want to see people crash. You want to see a good race. But anyway, it was exciting. You know what I mean? Not trying to but there had been a crash. Johnny Red slid off. Red flag. Confusion as to what's going on. And then there's a bit of bullshit in between where the commentators hit to talk and fill it with nonsense and journalist stuff, and even that's good. I like that. Then they came into the race start. They're going to go in the warm-up lap, and fucking Johnny Ray's bike doesn't start in time, and he's like stalled it on the grid.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh,
he did get going though, didn't he?
He did get it going, and I was like, oh, he's going to hit start at the back of the grid. But then he didn't hit start at the back of the grid, because this is another rule I found out this week. If you stall your bike in the warm-up lap, as long as the medical car, or I think it's a car, as long as the medical car doesn't pass you, you're alright. You can just stay where you're at.
Alright. So he didn't have to do a Marc Marquez when he had to bump the bike.
And then while all this was going on, even the commentators were going on about, is Alex Lowe's allowed to start this race? Why is he starting the race? They're trying to figure this out. It was just manic. It was just one thing after the other. And then it started, and Reg off to a much better start in this restart race too, didn't he? I thought he looked real proper racy. I know it didn't end that way, but just whenever he took off and the restart, I just thought he benefited from this.
But ultimately, who won race 2?
Well, hang on. Oh. Because then Johnny Ray pulled a move on Bautista, didn't he?
Yeah, so
it looked like he lost the rear, but I didn't know if he hit the front of Bautista's bike or whether he pushed Bautista wide, but then ultimately Bautista went down, and that was him out the race, and I was so happy.
So it was a fairly aggressive move, but you know, these two have a bit of needle. I'm sure they respect each other, but they've obviously a little bit of needle. And they're in a position, especially Johnny Ray against Ducati, they're in a position where they know if you've got an opportunity even to get a wheel in front, you've got to take it. So Johnny Ray pulls this aggressive move. It was aggressive, but I don't think he was at fault. He pushes, like Chippy said, he pushes Bautista onto the dirty patch, and Bautista just wants to get back on it. Gives it a bit of gas, back tyre flips out, high side, sends him into the sky. And this whole time as well, Johnny Ray's flicking back and forward, and you're like, "Oh, is he going to come off as well?" It was just, and this is still like what, lap 3?
Do you know what? I'm tomorrow. I'm actually because I've got it on Discovery Plus. I think I'll watch him because this just sounds so good.
It was a brilliant race. The sprint race was brilliant.
I'm gonna have to watch them both. It sounds great.
And then you think that. And then, did you see the overtake with Lowe's? Is this still the sprint race whenever Lowe's tried to overtake Baz?
Yes, was that race.
So Ash,
it was
Lowe.
Yeah. This was bad.
He's coming up against Baz. He's already knocked Baz off, whether it was Petrucci's fault or his fault. Anyway, him and Baz, they've already collided together. So Lowe's, just like Johnny Ray, is being aggressive. He's trying his best to, push his way through. He thinks he's got some pace. He sees this as an opportunity to get some points. He's probably just, I'm not sure if he knows Bautista's come off but he's thinking this is an opportunity to get some points. He's passing people aggressively. He comes up into Loris Baz. He's trying to get him on the brakes into a right-hand corner. And Baz does, the doctor's dangle where he sticks his leg out.
Yeah.
He's doing that, and I can't mind what happened. But
he put it out quite far.
Yeah, he put it out quite far, and cut a long story short, Alex Lowe's ran over his fucking ankle.
Oh no!
It was bad. It's broke his leg.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So I wrote down Ray and Lowe. I wrote down it's Lowe's and Baz again. Baz must hate Lowe's. But it was on Twitter. I'm not sure if you've seen it on Twitter. There's a picture of Alex Lowe's and Loris Baz.
I retweeted it.
Yeah, and I probably retweeted it from you. And Loris Baz is basically just saying to everybody that's commenting on it, he's like, stop hating on Alex Lowe's. He didn't do anything wrong. He tried to overtake me. He hit my leg. And then he actually highlighted, he said, what we really want to know is why was the oil in the track not? Why was that not? Why did nobody mention that sooner? That's what I'm trying to say. But and we're still like lap 5.
Oh, I can't wait to watch this.
And then, when he's doing the Doctor's Dangle, this was later on. I think it was like the start of Superbike Race 2 or something. No, it was in the start of Super Sport Race 2. James Toseland describes the Doctor's Dangle as he says, that's what happens with this new technique. Because James Toseland does talk some shite, doesn't he? And he's like, this is what happens with this new technique. And I was like, new technique? The fucking Doctor's Dangle.
Not a new technique.
It's been around for about 25 years. New technique.
It's been out for ages.
It's been out since, that's called the Doctor's Dangle since Valentino Rossi made it famous.
Yeah.
And, he's been retired 2 years, so it's hardly a new technique. But anyway, I just thought that was fun. God.
Sounds like an absolute clusterfuck, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then, Tom Sykes retired.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What happened to his bike?
Oh, I don't know. Just
was it bike problems again?
Yeah.
Oh, my...
Pulled into the pit.
I'm surprised he hasn't headbutted somebody yet.
That's why I was saying, you got Scott Redden going mad punching his bike. Tom Sykes hasn't gone mad. He's not punching his bike. He's just getting on with it, walking in.
Nah, typical Yorkshireman, he's still getting paid.
Yeah. It's all he gets, mate.
Where's the money?
Yeah, that race was class. It was a really good race. It was a Yamaha 1-2. Top Rack won it, didn't he? And it was Locatelli's second.
Ah, nice one.
It was the first Yamaha 1-2 since 2001. I don't know what race in 2001. I just know it was.
So where did Johnny come?
Ninth.
Fourth. Alex Lowe's finished third.
No, he came ninth in the first.
Oh
race,
wow! Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we got
a podium.
That's why we got the interview with him. He gave the interview saying that at the start of the race he thought Patrici, or not? He thought, was it Patrici? Yeah, he thought Patrici was a bit too aggressive.
Yeah.
So I wonder why. So it was. How come Johnny came ninth then? Was that?
No, he didn't come ninth. He came ninth at race 1, not the sprint race. That was my mistake.
Oh right.
I've got the results for race 1 up here, and I've got notes for sprint race, and then, really cool. Top Rack entertaining the crowd as he does. End of the race. There was a marshal or something come out. A marshal or a fan, but he had the Turkish flag. And my daughters was sitting there, and I was like nudging her, and I was like, "Wait, you see this?" Because I knew what he's going to do. I was like, "Wait, you see this? Wait, you see this?" And he pulls this endo, and it must go on for about 5 or 6 seconds. He's just there, front wheel, back wheel spinning in the back, and I was just like, "He's so cool, man. That's amazing." I can't even do that on a push bike. Never mind a motorbike. I would be on my face.
Was it one of you that was telling me that Top Rack was a stunt rider?
No, his dad was a stunt rider.
Ah, okay.
His old man was a stunt
I didn't
rider.
know that.
Well, it's probably where he's got it from, doing endos and shit.
Yeah. Well, that is where he got it from. But yeah. And that's why they were saying that year he won the championship. They still say it now. That's why he's so good on the brakes, because he's so much confidence on the bike.
Yeah.
That was a sprint race.
Bloody hell.
Race 2 continued in the same vein, mate. Batista had to start in 10th because he came off in the sprint race.
Oh, right, yeah, of course, yeah.
So because he came off in the sprint race, he had to start in 10th.
Did he end up coming off in the race?
No, he won.
Did he?
Yeah, yeah, of course he did.
Of course he did.
He could start last, and if he doesn't come off...
There was a restart, wasn't it? There was a restart, and then he was 4th on the grid, and as soon as he was 4th, I was like, yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah, he's
Why was there a restart in race 2 again?
You are?
Why was there a race start on race 2? Halfway through the notes I've wrote, fucking hell, take a breath, because it was just one thing after the other.
We're really good at this.
Oh yeah. Listen to the Big Bad Bike Show. We know nothing.
Oh, we are the Big Bad Bike Show, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Big Bad bullshit.
Flagging it.
Big Bad Blagging Bike Show.
Yeah, I think it was Bassani. Yeah, I've got it down here in my notes, right? So I'm going to try and decipher my notes and see what happened, right? So Batista was on the X tyre.
Yeah.
Top Rack, Locatelli, Ray were all the 0. Batista had to start in 10th. And Koenig on the Kawasaki was another non-starter. So there's definitely something wrong with that Kawasaki, because that's him and Tom Sykes. You're constantly having a problem.
Pachetti Kawasaki, you need to get it sorted.
Bassini took out Locatelli because he was riding aggressive, and he bumped into Locatelli, and I think he sent him flying.
Yeah.
And I've wrote down Rinaldi. Wow, so I was obviously pretty impressed with what Rinaldi was doing. But then, this is because you sent me a message about this as well. Bassini was told that he had to drop back a place because he was sitting in second. He was sitting in second.
This is a talking point I was going to say about because he was told to give a place back
because he had knocked Locatelli down for riding too aggressively.
But in doing so, he was trying not to let anybody else pass. So he let one pass, tried to shut the door.
Who was in the lead?
Caused another crash.
Who was in the lead at the time?
Yeah, he almost caused a crash. And I was just sat there thinking, why don't they just let him race and then at the end just demote in one place in the standings?
Because he was in that position where if he was going to let somebody pass, and then he wanted to let them pass and slip onto third, but then Top Rack ended up getting passed and Top Rack was like, well, if you're going, I'm going.
Yeah, that was it.
And Scott Redden crashed. Oh no, the red flag was because Vandermark Ertl. No, it wasn't Scott Redden crashed, it was Vandermark and Ertl. It was a massive crash, remember? Vandermark went into the sky. It was like Mark Marquez-esque. It was like the bike was spinning, he was flying. It was like one of them hands on your head. You're like, oh my god, red flag straight away. They were on it all the time. They were giving us constant feedback as to whether it was okay, because you hate it whenever you see that. You know what I mean? You see a crash like that, and your hand's just on your head, and you're like, oh fucking hell. Jesus, it's the sort of
it was a bad crash.
It's the one time whenever you're like you don't like to see that happening, and that race had it was very aggressive. Now I think of it, everybody was just they were all beating each other up, and that's why I was like, take a breath, because it was just one thing after the other. They were just banging into each other and said it was almost like road rash. That's what it reminded me of, like Destruction Derby road rash. And then it all came to a head with that crash. I'm not saying they were being too aggressive, but there was a lot of chopping and changing, and Bassini was told to go back a spot, and then he tried to get into third place again, and Top Rack pushed him out of the way. And it was just one thing after the other, and then Vandermark and Philip Ertl just crashed, and Vandermark's bike went skittering into the sky, and then they had to give it the red flag again, another red flag, and then that's when the restart came. And like you said, whenever the restart came, Batista was in fourth, and you knew that's it. Because he wasn't even doing very well in that race, was he? He was sitting back about 7th or 8th, Batista. He was pretty far back. And then you knew once the restart came and he was in 4th that he was just destined for the win.
Yeah. Johnny Ray fell off as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Johnny's the front.
No.
Yeah,
I think he just took the front, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then Tom Sykes went into the pit. Didn't finish.
Oh my days.
And Alex Lowe on that race too, I think you were saying on the TV it was because he had no fresh tyres, but he was sitting back in 14th.
Yeah, he didn't have a good race, did he?
It was class.
Tom Sykes again.
He's having a dreadful season. But like I said, Kurdick didn't start either, and he's in the same bike, so there's obviously something wrong with the bike.
Something massively wrong with the bike. I mean, it's got to be it could be anything, couldn't it? But I might do some research into it actually, because I want to know what's going on.
The thing is,
I'm sure if the mechanics can't work it out, I'm sure.
That'll be like Murder, She Wrote. Or Quincy, like one of them where you do investigations and you walk in and you just know exactly what's going on. The reason the bike didn't start, see, you forgot to use the key. Oh, it was an epic race. I'll tell you what, I would quite happily sit down this week and I would watch it again. I've already watched it twice and I would watch it again. It was a brilliant day's racing. So good.
I'm going to watch it.
Good weekend.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Anyway,
is there anything else interesting in the races?
I think that was it. That was all the notes I've got.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds very good. I'm looking forward to it.
But it's just even though Batista came off in the sprint race, ultimately it's only worth 12 points. So it's not a massive ball ache to him. He won 5 out of 6 races.
Yeah.
And like I said, second place.
He's still leading the championship.
Yeah, second place keeps chopping and changing. Like, there's nobody, there's no consistency behind him. So he's getting a massive gap, isn't he? It seems quite inevitable. It's no bad thing at the end of the day. The races for 2, second and third are just as good, but it would be nice to see some sort of race for the lead. But like I said last week, it's an amazing bike. It's an amazing rider. There's not really much you can do, but just enjoy it, watch it, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are we gonna give Chippy some bongs?
lead on to the news.
Give me a bong.
Have you got much news, Chippy? You said
there's not a lot. There's
there's
really not a lot happening. So
I'm going to give him a really good bong here.
Before you go on to the news, can I just bring something up that I should have brought up earlier? There was a motorbike show in Scotland over the weekend.
Oh, there was. Was it in Edinburgh?
Yeah. So why were none of you two at it?
Well, because Edinburgh's about 4 hours away.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse. I
don't know why everybody seems to think once you're in Scotland, everything's 5 minutes away from each other.
We're miles away.
I know the geography of Scotland. I just think that if you're the Scottish contingent of this podcast, you should be.
Well, we're going to go to Knockhill in June, and that's far enough away.
Anyway, Ash, you telling me, it's miles away. You drove to Yorkshire. You were going that way. You could have called in.
Well, yeah, well, obviously... Well, no, I couldn't have pulled in. Shut up, Sam.
There's a motorbike show coming round my way, right enough. It's only about 10 minutes away. I'm going to be going to it in May.
What, are you going to go in your little YBR?
No, I'll probably go in my car and take my daughter as well.
Go in your hairdryer.
Yeah. Might have passed my test by then and bought my Tiger 1200 as if
we know that's not going to happen. You are not going to buy a Tiger.
No, I'm not.
And whatever you do, oh my God, whatever you do, Sam, don't think, I'll get one of the older Tigers because they are absolute dog shit. Do not buy one. They're so unreliable. Do not buy an old Tiger, for Christ's sakes.
I don't know what I'm going to buy.
You'll be forever fixing it.
We'll maybe do a piece in that in the coming weeks where we can what bikes you stand by. Anyway, that was just a little bit of banner I wanted to throw in there, see if I could get you riled up, but it didn't work. Anyway, we'll move on to the news.
Bong.
Right, okay. The news this week, there isn't a lot about. I've managed to get 2 or 3 things, but it's not very exciting, but it's better than nothing. And also, I didn't want to just bring up any odd story.
Are you tapping your paper on the table right now, like this?
Today, the 9 o'clock news. Yes. The newly appointed Isle of Man Enterprise Minister, Tim Johnston, has announced that the insurance costs of £930,000 covering all events, including the TT, was within the government's means. Answering a question, he replied, I am pleased to confirm that the insurance cover for the TT and other motorcycle racing events scheduled to be held in the Isle of Man in 2023 is in place. So it's basically just reconfirming what we already know. The TT is safe. Everything in the Isle of Man is safe.
Of course it's in their means, because you've got people like Lewis Hamilton living there. Is that where he lives? He's like, I'm going to go move to the Isle of Man where I don't have to pay any tax and I can just...
I thought he lived in Monaco.
Yeah, maybe he does.
Don't they all live that way?
No, but is there not some sort of thing where if you want to be a resident of the Isle of Man, you need to be wealthy and self-sustaining? You can't just... I can't just move there and be like, I fancy living in the Isle of Man.
Lewis Hamilton, who all the millions are moved to Isle of Man.
No, but there is something
love the weather.
But there is something like that. I think Isle of Man's a bit... Jersey's like that as well. You can't just move there. Unless you're born there, you can't live there unless you're wealthy.
Fair enough.
And I think...
Anyway, give us another bong.
Bong.
PR Racing are back in BSB following their decision to withdraw from the 2023 season. They previously announced Luke Mossey as their rider before pulling out the season due to the economic situation. Luke Mossey will still be their rider, but they'll now be known as L1 Racing.
Oh.
Yes. And they're from Liverpool, and they're...
Isn't that your beep-a-beep friend?
No. No, they're based in Liverpool, and they're called L1 Racing, and they've got like the liver bird on there.
So do I have to support them then?
Well, probably if you're a Liverpool fan.
I am. I'll have to.
There you go then.
That is the end of the news. However, while we were talking about the World Superbikes, I've just seen something on Twitter. So give me another bong, because this is actually
bong.
Is this like obviously not breaking news because we're not live, but is this as close to breaking news as the Big Bad Bike Show can get?
Yes, even though it's 9 hours old.
Can we call it Big Bad Breaking News?
In fact, I'm going to retweet it right now.
We are on the cusp, people. That's why you should be listening to our show, because we're giving you the hot topics as they happen a few days ago.
Anyway, sounds like the North America Talent Cup. You know that all these
I like how you say
programs.
Sounds like, as in I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds like.
No, this is what the tweet says. I'm reading the tweet. So sounds like the North America Talent Cup, Dorna's Road to MotoGP program using Aprilia RS250 bikes is set to be scrapped for 2023 due to a lack of entries. So basically, North America just isn't entering anyone into the bike scene.
What's going on with America?
yeah.
Like they used to be a powerhouse for motorbike riders. They used to be like some of the best in the world, constantly just coming through, American after American. And now they can't get anybody.
Quite
But
bad that.
Garrett Gerloff, who keeps crashing and knocking people off, and he rides for BMW now.
He was your one to watch as well, wasn't
I
he?
know he was, but I forgot he was on a BMW, didn't I?
But yeah,
Is
that is the end of the news.
End of the news.
That is the end of the
So
news.
basically, then what you're saying is we can't, apart from the Americans that are already on the scene, we can't expect to see any other decent Americans coming through. There's a pretty decent.
There is like the American superbikes.
Yeah, but the guy that's
Moto America and all.
Yeah,
that.
but Moto America, I think I forget his name. I'll have it for next week. But the guy who's won it the past couple of times is just staying there. Which is fair play.
It's more about the MotoGP though, because it's Dorna's Road to the MotoGP program.
Mm-hmm.
This North America Talent Cup, so it might just mean there's not going to be that many Americans set up for MotoGP, but there wasn't really that many anyway.
Yeah,
Maybe it just means there'll be even less. I don't know.
I can't wait
I'm
for
guessing.
MotoGP. So I've been trying to soften the blow to myself that it's 3 weeks until there's any racing on. It's 3 weeks before the MotoGP. But I looked at the calendar and I've told myself it's only 2 weekends. You get this weekend, next weekend, and then the following weekend is when the MotoGP's on. So it's only 2 weeks.
There is testing though.
Yeah. Yay.
But it's not the same.
Yay, testing.
You have to find some speedway to watch.
I
love
genuinely
watching
would
speedway.
sit down and watch testing. I would just sit there and watch some test, but my wife would have a fit. She'd be like, I'm not watching that. Like, I'll put up with you watching the racing, but I'm not watching.
Tell you what is really, really good to watch, and I used to, obviously growing up and my dad being into trials bike riding, the indoor trials championships are so good to watch. Where they just ride the bikes over like massive, big like tractor tires and that. Like what they can do on them bikes is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's cool. Years ago,
You need to watch Tony Bow. Tony Bow is just he's got to be an alien or something with what he can do on that bike. It's just denies all laws. It's good to watch. I'd love to go and watch it live.
Did you ever? Yes, you're maybe a bit too young for this. Did you ever watch Kickstart when you were younger?
No.
That was.
I probably weren't even in my dad's pipe at that point. Mate.
I think it was something my brother watched because he's about 5 or 6, 7 years older than me. But it used to be like in the morning, Saturday morning, we'd watch Kickstart. It was like a kids' TV program, but it was these kids that went around in trail bikes. That was good.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds brilliant. I remember Biker Mice from Mars. That was awesome.
Biker Mice from Mars class. That's another thing. I was trying to call the show. I wanted to call the show.
Oh yeah.
Like I was thinking about rather than calling it Biker Mice from Mars, I was going to call it Biker Men. But I couldn't think of what's biker men, biker men from what, and I was thinking biker men in bars because we're biker men and we like drinking. But I thought biker men in bars, it just sounded a bit like, I don't know, YMCA.
I thought you were going to say. Well, I knew what you were going to say, but yeah, good save there. Good save.
Biker men from Mars was class. They're bringing that back apparently.
Yeah, I've heard they bring it back.
For a
I've
third
ruin
time.
it.
They ruin everything. Have you seen Thundercats? Have you seen the new Thundercats?
No, I haven't seen any. I never even watched the old Thundercats.
Oh, well then you're not going to be spoiled. The old Thundercats was amazing. And now they brought out a new one and that is horrendous. Anyway, here we go again, digressing.
Yeah, no, we're not even talking about bikes, we're talking about freaking Thundercats.
Yeah, go on. I probably won't like it now, but go onto YouTube and watch Kickstarter. It's probably crap now because we're like old ass men, but... Right, so...
So, yeah.
No other
so
news?
in this 3-week gap, what we're doing?
We're
going to be...
We'll have content for the listeners. We'll give ourselves excuses to talk to each other.
I'm going to do some bike reviews as well. So
I
know I said I was going to do me CRF 300L review this podcast, but I'm going to save it for the next one.
Yeah, save it for whenever we don't have as much to talk about. But yeah. So we'll do that piece for anybody that's listening. We're going to do a piece coming up in the next couple of weeks, maybe next week, where it's going to be Ash is basically going to sit me down, because he's mentioned it before about what bike he thinks I should ride, and he's always like, oh, I think you should ride this bike, like, oh, I think you should have a Harley, and it's like, I don't want a Harley. We're going to sit down. Ash is going to take the lead with it. We're going to do a piece about, ultimately we're going to sit down, interview me as to what I like, what I want, what my needs are, what I think my needs are. He's going to educate me in what I should do and shouldn't do, and by the end of it we should come to a nice conclusion, and we should have an idea of what bike I should ride. And the idea is, I'm new to biking. Well, I like watching motorbikes, but I'm new to riding bikes, let's just say. And this is an opportunity for anybody else out there who is new to riding bikes, or getting back into riding bikes, or just wants to get a new bike. It'll be an opportunity for anybody in them positions to listen to the podcast and maybe go along with us and answer the questions that Ash is asking in your own way, and try and determine as to what sort of bike you think you should have, what your first bike should be. Because we did talk about it. I saw the Triumph Tiger 1200, but there's no way I'm going to ride a Triumph Tiger 1200. I couldn't even afford one, whether I wanted to buy one. So it needs to be realistic as to what I can afford, expectations, blah. But Ash is going to talk me through that next week, and that's something worth listening to.
How much, just out of interest, how much was that Tiger for sale for in that shop?
I'm not even sure. I didn't even look at the price. But it was a lot.
Do you know what year it was?
Oh, brand new.
Oh, brand new. Yeah, you're looking at a lot of money there. Yeah.
They had it on MCN a couple of weeks ago. They had the Triumph Tiger 850 Sport, which is coming in about just over 10 grand. They were putting it against a Yamaha Tracer 9 GT.
Oh, a Tracer, yeah.
And a BMW F900 XR.
Yeah.
Yeah, the BMW F900. Yeah, that's pretty new.
Yeah.
But if I was going for BMW, it'd have to be the GS 1200 or the GS 1250. But there you go.
Yeah, so that's
GS do an 800 as well, and they do a 310. But yeah,
I don't know what to get. We'll do it next week. We'll go through it next week.
We will. I already know. Obviously, I'm not going to say it now, but I already know the perfect first bike for anybody that's just passed the test. I already know what it is.
Right. Well,
but I will leave it for next week.
Not what I
bought after I passed my test. I went and bought a Honda Firestorm, which was far too quick.
Did any of you two get last week's Who Am I?
Do you know what? I didn't. After you sort of said it, I kind of just forgot about it, to be honest.
I did
nice to know you're getting involved in the podcast.
Sorry, I've got things on my mind, alright? Who was it then?
John Kaczynski.
No.
Oh, I googled it and I didn't even get it right.
What did you get when you googled it?
I can't remember now.
I'll
have to Google it again.
After Sam was in the last podcast, I was like, you're not allowed to Google it.
Obviously, if you need to Google it, for fuck's sake. Well, it's all about having fun, but if you can try and do it without Google. But
I think it was Kenny Roberts. Was it Kenny Roberts that I got?
Oh, you were way too early.
Great rider, Kenny Roberts.
Right, so John Kaczynski, right? He's a world. John Kaczynski was the American National 250 champion 1987, 1988 and 1989. During 1989, he did a couple of wild cards in the World 250 series. And I think he might even have won a race, and everybody kind of knew this guy's got something about him. It was just whether he could get a ride in 1990. But in 1990, he gets a ride in the 250, and he's riding for Kenny Roberts' team. So Kenny Roberts has got a team. He's running a team, and his 500 rider is Wayne Rainey, and he's got another American rider who's riding in the other 500, and then his 250 rider is John Kaczynski. So it's just an American powerhouse. That's why I was saying earlier, why is there no American riders? Because America used to have so many good riders. You can't think of Kevin Swance, Wayne Rainey, John Kaczynski.
America.
I think it was 1991, like the year after, that John Kaczynski won the World 250 Championship. And then he moved up eventually to 500. Didn't quite make it in 500. He did win a couple of races. He said he won his first race at 23, and then eventually moved over to superbikes. Now, I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I think John Kaczynski might have been the first rider ever to have won a race in the 500 Grand Prix and won a race in the World Superbikes. Now, bearing in mind the Superbikes didn't start to 1987, so that might be true, but I think he might have been the first rider ever to do that. And in 1997, riding an RC45 under the number 3 with the green, white and red colours of the, the typical Castrol Honda, which to me just screamed Jordan Lowe. I seen that, I was going to races and watching Jordan Lowe in his RC45, watching him in the TT, or watching him around the roads in Ireland, and then you go and watch it on TV, you would see another RC45, the same colours with the number 3 on it, and it was like, obviously I wasn't stupid, I knew it wasn't Jordan Lowe, but you could make the resemblance. And then in 1997 he won the World Superbike Championship. Yeah.
Well,
that's John Kaczynski, there you go. And
Very
one
good.
person got
And
it right. One person got it right. This is the email we got. So I sent my brother a message. I was like, have you listened to the podcast yet? And he was like, no. That was that. And I was like, yeah, thanks for the support. And anyway, he listens to it and he sends me a message. He goes, how do I answer this question? And he could have just sent me a message. But I was being a bit of a twat. So I was like, you got to email podcast at bigbadbs.co.uk. So he sends me an email and he just writes, the answer is John Kaczynski. That was all he said. But I messaged him back and I said, did you know it or did you have to Google it? And he was like, I knew it. And I could just hear him saying, I knew it. Like, of course he knew it, because my elder brother is like an encyclopedia when it comes to motorbikes. He just knows things. And I'm like, it's like, how, he just brings things out of thin air, and you're like, how the fuck did you know that? How did you know that? And I knew he would know it. But he was the only person to get in contact, the only person to even hazard a guess. I can only assume that everybody else that listens to these shows thickos. But anyway, John.
Or they just don't care.
Or they're just not listening, that's it. They listen their 30 seconds and go. They think these guys suck. Anyway,
the only regular listener that we've got is Ash anyway.
I actually listened to it 6 times. And your way back up from Yorkshire, did you listen to it again?
Yeah.
How many times did you listen to the show this week? Twice? 3 times?
Twice. Once when obviously it was released because I wanted to hear it, and then my mum wanted to listen to it, so she listened to it on the telly.
I thought your mum was going to send me an email.
She tried, but then obviously we had the whole mess up with the email.
I fixed
and then I
that.
think she just gave up in the end. I think she just couldn't be asked. But,
my dog just jumped onto the sofa, and he does this thing where he jumps onto the sofa and he turns around and looks at me for a few seconds to see if I'm going to tell him to get down. He doesn't make himself comfortable. He looks at me first to see if it's worthwhile to make himself comfortable. But
before you slap him round the head and go, get out of the dog?
I'm going to allow him. He can stay on there. It's his bedtime now. Whenever we sit in the sofa, whenever it gets past 10 o'clock, when me and my wife sit in the sofa, he walks up and stares at us as if to say, right, time for bed, I'm tired, move.
Well, that's what dogs do.
That's his bed. It's more his bed than it's
woof woof woof. So the Who Am I? It's my turn.
Have you got the same Who Am I?
Yes.
Easy as fuck.
Well, alright. Maybe we'll get more people message in instead of just having one person.
Because you were so proud of yourself. You're like, yeah, I've already got my Who Am I? And you wrote it. I don't even think your thumb had left it off your pad bbefore I had sent the answer, and you were just like, fuck, is that easy?
I'll make sure my next one's harder. I'm going to make it nails. But so the Who Am I for this week is last race win was in 1981 on the 500cc Swedish Grand Prix. Was a TV host on an ITV show called Just Amazing.
Oh yeah, I remember who it is now.
And relocated to Australia and became a motorsport commentator.
Chippy, after Ash read out the second clue, you go, yeah, I remember who it is now, as if you sat down and watched Just Amazing in your younger days.
No, I didn't. I remember you telling us the other day who it was.
I remember watching that show when I was doing my gardening, feeding the worms, the whale Mealworms to my birds. Right, anyway, that's...
They've gone through a whole bag of mealworms. It's cost me £10 for that bag. It's only lasted about 3 days.
Yeah, well, if you'd gone to B&M, you could have got it for £3.
Yeah, you could have bought
wouldn't
more.
have eaten them.
Right, so, do you want to run through them again, or last race one?
I can do if you...
Last race one was, what, 1987, did you say, in the 500 Swedish Grand Prix?
No, it was 1981. So the
1981.
last race win was 1981, 500cc Swedish Grand Prix. It was on a TV. It was a TV host on an ITV show called Just Amazing, and relocated to Australia and became a motorsport commentator.
I am going to YouTube Just Amazing just to watch it. I already know who it is, and not because Ash told me. I was able to work it out. So if anybody does have it, if anybody gets the answer and wants to answer it, please send us an email. Let's get involved. Send us an email. I will give you the email address now, along with the rest of the socials. This is our social section. Social section. I should do a little jingle. I don't need technology. I can just do my own jingles. So that I can just jingle myself all night. I like jingling myself. Sometimes I jingle myself when there's nobody in the house. Just like to make up little jingles. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes you jingle your dog.
He's not got any balls left now, so he doesn't even enjoy it. His lipstick used to come out, and I'd be like, get that thing away, wiggle it about. I could tell you some disgusting stories with that dog. Not stuff that I've done to it. I was out walking him once, and this little 3-legged dog came out, but it was a little bitch. And her and him got all tangled up, like they were tangled up in each other. They were all around each other, and whenever they pulled apart, I swear her face was just covered, you know what I mean. I don't know how to go into details, but it was covered. And the guy that owned the dog, we looked at each other and I was just like, sorry mate. Walked off. I was like, what do you want me to do? You got excited. It was only a pup. Anyway, let's plug the socials. Right, so if you want to answer the question of who am I, and you think you can get this like amazingly hard who am I this week, send your emails to podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. You can watch this on YouTube, which is the Big Bad Bike Show, and you can also write comments or get in touch with us through YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter, it's all one word, the Big Bad BS. Instagram as well, it's the Big Bad Bike Show, but there's a hyphen between each word. And on Facebook, it's the same as the Big Bad Bike Show. You can follow myself, so you can follow my Twitter, it's @SoberGasano. Sober as in, I don't drink anymore, which is complete bullshit because I love drinking, but SoberGasano. You can follow Ash, who's the Up North Biker, on Instagram, which is the Up North Biker with an underscore between the and Up North and Biker. And you can follow Chippy's Twitter at C_Ballard90. Can it be? Do you need the cap locks and stuff, or can you just write it like that?
No, you can write like that. I just like to write
that's
like
like the most sensible
it's
Twitter account name.
Yeah,
it's oh my god.
He's got C.
That's the point. That is my name.
He's got C as in Chris, which is like Chris_Ballard, but I have the C down as something else in my head. You know, they know what I'm thinking. You all know what I'm thinking. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to wait until we're a very established podcast before I start throwing out the C bomb. But anyway, at C_Ballard90 if you want to follow Chippy. That's the socials. That's how you can get in contact with us. Please send us an email if you know the answer to the question. I know it might seem like why bother, but it helps us. It lets us know that there's somebody out there listening. If, like I said, if you are listening, you're probably only one.
Ash.
So, other than Ash, so please get involved. It lets us know that we enjoy doing this. We like talking about bikes. We like talking with each other. We're all friends, of course. But we, believe it or not, we do put a lot of effort into this. And it would be nice just to have somebody respond with an email and get in touch with us and let us know that you are actually listening. So if you do know the answer, or if you want to just ask us a question or give us some feedback and let us know how we're doing, email podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. Like I said, if you want to leave your name, you leave your name. If you don't want us to read it out in the show, just put it on the email saying please don't read it out. If you want us to read it out in the show but you don't want us to use your name, just leave a pseudonym. Do you know what a pseudonym is, Ash?
No. Piss off.
It's a fake name that bothers you sometimes.
I've told you, I'm a practical man.
Yeah.
I don't do words.
Anyway, that's our podcast for this week. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed listening. Please join us again next week when we will have, well, we won't have reactions to any bike racing because there is none, but we'll have some bullshit to talk about. It's called the Big Bad BS, the Big Bad Bike Show. Big Bad, think of it you want. Anyway, I've been your host, Sam Macaulay. I've enjoyed it tonight. Had a good time.
Yeah,
enjoyed talking to the bikes.
Good.
So, from myself, Ash, Chippy, goodbye.
See you later.
Goodbye.